Yeah, it's been nice. And I've done some plein air painting this month. I just went to a friend's in Vermont at her lake house and spent a few days. It was wonderful. I was telling Will, you can't even hear cars in the distance.
Oh, wow.
It's so remote. And this little town, I swear, 2/3 of the roads are dirt. Not just camp roads, everything's dirt. So it's nice to get away and do some plein air.
Well, Terry Lynn, I am about 20 minutes away from Mary Beth.
In New Sharon, near her in New
Yeah.
Sharon. Oh,
New
okay.
Sharon is the town next to ours.
Oh, okay. I've got to get up to Kingfield sometime, so
yeah,
I'll pull that over. My father's family is from Kingfield. Well, do you want to just look at some of the paintings and chat about those? I'll kind of rely on you. Okay. Again, a couple people aren't here. I've got to find this. It's been a while since I've done this. Screen share. Here we go. Ta-da! Will, you're up first. Is that okay?
Why not?
The
story on this is that I had this photo from God knows when, and the tree was right smack in the center. So I chopped it and sort of turned it into a square format. And I could still move the tree over, and okay, I was happy. I want the stones, I want the water, and it had all the things that I wanted to play with. So I started blocking it in. Go ahead. Okay, so the block in, I moved the tree over a little bit, sort of got an idea of where my rocks are going to be. And then I
kind of like this right here, actually, Will, too. Just saying.
That seduced me into it. So, all right. So I said, all right, it's working.
I mean, look at the bones in that. It looks awesome because you can see where you're going. It's so well established.
Well, yeah. Great. I thought so too. And then I went off the cliff and I just started overdoing stuff. And that happened. And when that starts, you can't stop it. That's the drug that you get. So you just thinking that if you can do it a little bit more, it'll be different and better, but it never is. So then I went into that, and then
this is a piece of paper, right?
Yeah, it's a big piece. It's 11 by 14 or something like that. So then I started figuring out. It started talking to me in a different way. So my water became, go ahead, the next one. My water became meadow. And I held on to the rocks and I held on to the trees, but I sort of tweaked them. And so I started playing meadow versus water instead of water. And then finally I ended up with this thing. That's my take. That's making lemonade out of lemons, assuming this is lemonade. So it doesn't look like it's my final one. I don't think I gave you the final one, Terry Lynn. Sorry about that.
You didn't know. That's no worries. Quite the progression. What do you ladies think? Look at this.
See, I like so much what you did with this underpainting and just establishing your shapes.
Here, that this is strong.
It's so strong, and you've got a lovely balance of darks and lights in there, and it is truly beautiful. So as you go through, you can see it's still there all the way through.
I like the meadow.
This is really pretty and soft, which is not what I would have expected from the original.
Not at all.
But
I agree that I really like the block in, and that got me excited about where this thing was going until it went off the cliff. So I just then had to figure out whether or not I was headed for the burn pile, or if I was going to just scrub it all, which I did, and then just start building it up from whatever was left on the scrub. I just brushed the whole thing off. So that's sort of where I ended up.
I like the softness of it.
Thank you.
It is not where I thought it was going, but it's really pretty.
You and me both.
Yeah, it's soft. It's got nice textures. It's more close in values. You don't have that high contrast that you had at the beginning.
Mhm.
That helps that softness. I think it's beautiful. Are these little marks with the tip of the pastel, or
Yeah, I think so. It was
or
very
you didn't
soft.
you didn't do the scrape off thing and sprinkle them on?
No, and I was just touching the paper with a little bit of force. So this isn't the final, because my final, I think, I threw in a few blue flowers for some reason, again, never knowing where to stop. So I
I'd like
started,
to see that one. I really like this, and I like the lines that you've got for the grasses. It's just really pretty.
Yeah, that's a
Thank you,
very
thank
nice soft, and then some texture here. And the eye is led, the viewer's eye is led all the way back to this. This is almost cathedral window type back here.
It is,
Yeah.
that was totally intentional. That was, I got all Gothic on myself. So absolutely.
I really like that you gave, I mean, that's where I get stuck, that you have the freedom to completely change what you started with or what the image was. And this is very, very nice. And I also, for me, the trees, you just see the bottom of the trees and it works perfectly. But when you conceptualize it, that's kind of hard to for me to wrap my head around. How am I going to show them looking natural? And I think you've done, I mean, I love what you've done.
Thank you. Terry Lynn, I just sent you the final. I don't know why I didn't send it before, but
Yeah.
I
I'm going to
saw
try to upload it. Yeah.
Thank you. I went to a thing with Adriani Giuliani, PSNC put it, and she takes failed pastels and then uses them as an underpainting. I mean, a landscape can become a portrait could become a still life, but she doesn't brush it off. And she said there's always enough tooth left, and I never have enough tooth, even to finish something off. So I don't know how she does that, but I'd have it out in the back room, and I would be, hosing it down.
Wow. Whoa, whoa.
Oh,
that's-
Oh, that's so pretty.
There's the final.
What a difference. Wow. Now, you didn't do a lot of extra dark marks, or did you? See the contrast here is maybe it's
Yeah.
probably the way you took the picture.
It
somehow.
could be, but I added a lot more darks, especially where those two trees on the left and then the tree on the middle. So I darkened that out to bring the trees more prominently into the not the foreground, but to make them more prominent, and then also to be able to push back my Gothic windows that's where I'm going. So yeah, I actually, and this is the final because it has some blue flowers in it. So
yeah,
You must be very pleased with this. It just is beautiful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I like these gentle warmths in the grass here too that helps pull this grass forward.
From where I started, I was thrilled because I was literally just about to throw that piece of paper away. So, that's
what are you using, Will? Is it
yeah.
What paper were you using?
Is it ampersand, I believe?
Okay.
And I think it was a piece of beige ampersand.
Nice.
Well, thank
I
you.
did a painting yesterday on beige art, and I should have started with dark. Painting didn't work on the beige, but this works very well.
Thank you.
So sometimes it does matter what you start with for the paintings, or the painting.
Yeah. But using a piece, reusing a piece, I never have enough enough tooth. And I had a piece of pastel board. It was a big one, like 11 by 17. So I would save that just to do my perfect piece that was going to the Louvre. And so I started out with that, knowing that I was going to do something glorious, and it was a total failure. And then I put on a layer of white, white layer of white golden on it. Then I did something else, and then I brushed it off. And I mean, it's about an inch thick now, but it's going to be a tosser.
Have you ever tried going back in with a hard pastel when you're losing tooth?
I do. Yeah. I like using the hard
Yeah, because
pastel.
I find I can go in and cut in and do quite a bit if I use a new pastel or a Rembrandt.
Yep. Okay. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Speaking of, let me give you what I just found out. I was over at Cheap Joe's, which ain't so cheap anymore. I bought a pack of paper, and I found another pack of paper that was the same size. I think 11 by 17. Is that a standard size?
12 by 8.
Okay, so I bought that. The last time I bought it, which was before pandemic, it was $40, and it is now, for the same 10 packets, $60.
Yeah.
So Cheap Joe ain't so cheap.
Was that UArt or what kind of?
It was UArt 400. Yep. And the price of a mounted piece of UArt is through the roof. So I was thinking of going that way, and once I looked at the price, good Lord.
I know a lot of artists are mounting their own. They get some foam core and mount it themselves, and that's it.
That's what I'm going to do with what I just bought. I bought 20 sheets of that, of 11 by 17. So I'll be able to chop that up a little bit. Plus, I'm taking the Nancy King Mertz workshop, so I needed some paper for that. So
Good.
all right.
Excellent. What do you put most of your pastels? Just curious.
Terry Ludwig.
Yeah. So you use that almost all the way through?
Probably, yeah.
That's going to fill your tooth. If you started with something, I believe, something a little harder to start with and then built up to the Terry.
Yeah.
That could be part of the situation.
I like the Terry's because of the edge, but I can create my own edges, and then so that's a good point.
Yeah. Very nice.
So are you going to church, or where are you headed there? Well,
Yeah, where does this go?
I got all churchy on that Gothic opening there, and it was funny because I went a couple days later. I went on a hike up here on top of the mountain, and I looked out, and it was looking down over the valley, and it was through the trees, which were very dark, and it was almost the same setup.
yeah,
So
nice.
I took that as a plus.
Very nice. Thank you.
And the name of this, I gave it a name. It's called Almost There.
Okay, appropriate.
So I don't know if that's, for me, that's hopeful, but I don't know if what's on the other side. I tried to put a little bit of blue in there and indicating some kind of water feature, and that didn't work at all. So the guy scrapped that.
Yeah, it has a very almost spiritual feel to it, I think.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there.
I've been, well, you've seen some of my paintings working through a lot of emotions and stuff right now too. So. This is just going through Beth. Again, she's working with watercolor, but there's a lot of things we can use. I'm finding if I look at some watercolors, you can also, this would be a great simple underpainting or design to start a pastel with. And she's been really working with clouds. I made this suggestion. This is beautiful, I think. And this is not a great, I took it into preview and I just added some elements to give it scale, because this could be anything. And I thought if she put a little house somewhere in here, that would really expand that scale, make it feel like it's almost overwhelming. And then she, again, is practicing skies. She is very, very methodical about keeping track of what paper she's using, what pigments she's using, these brush strokes. She's quite new, I think 2 or 3 years in watercolor, and she is loving it. And she's really approaching it in such a strong way. See how she analyzes and she writes it down and keeps notes, and she has notebooks of this stuff.
That hurts my head, but I admire what she's doing.
And you can mix with pastels. We know that, right? You can actually layer and kind of blend them together, or just layer and let the colors shine through each other.
Oh,
to get
yeah.
different.
But
Any
watercolor first. Watercolor first?
Yeah.
For
What,
yeah, not
pastel over
necessarily
watercolor.
any color underneath. Even your paper you can lay over like that. So Richard McKinley does watercolor under his, almost a complete watercolor before he paints on pastel.
There's a movement afoot of people using gouache as an underpayment, underpainting.
Gouache,
Gouache.
Really? Gosh.
gouache.
That's so opaque.
It's
Yep.
lovely
just-
stuff.
It can work really nicely with pastels because of the opaqueness. It has a gentle grit in it. Not really a grit, but it's a matte finish. It doesn't get shiny. Like, Will, you were talking about using golden, and that's a plastic-based medium, which is going to add a little smoothness to your surface.
I hated it. Yeah, I absolutely hated it. Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. Who are we on now? This is
That's me. But
Roz.
can we have her? I love her watercolor, the first one.
This
That's-
one, right?
Yeah.
And I know you put the house there, which I think is a great idea. But
It's just
I'm
an idea.
wondering, did you play around with the size of the house when you were putting it in there?
Not
This
really.
is-
I just did it really quickly to give her an example. It was
Yeah,
last night and I was tired, so yeah.
yeah, I can understand that. But aren't the colors beautiful? Limited
Yeah.
palette. Yeah.
I mean,
All
if
right,
you flip this over, it could be this could be water with a shore beyond, if you there's
Yeah.
so many things you could do with it. But she's getting if you look at some of her other clouds, they're getting looser. Some are very edgy and some are very washed, and she's really, look at the difference with these two.
Yeah.
Trick with watercolor is when you use the paper, you've used it. It's not like pastel where you can go back over. Although if you do watercolor and pastel, you can take an old watercolor and paint pastel over it. So Rosalind, let's see. Thank you, the good feedback. Sketches. Okay. So you did a number of sketches.
Like dozens of them. I only posted 2.
And then you did your color sketches, which I thought were great.
Again, this is only a selection of them. I did pages and pages because I was just playing with color with the watercolors.
They're really nice.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Look at all the options you had that
Beautiful.
you could do something with.
Yeah.
Whoa, I love it.
Oh,
You chose kind of this one to build off from, or one of the others?
Yeah, it's really kind of that, but I'd done another one that had more of a greeny blue, and so I used the color wheel a lot, looking at the complementary and split complementary colors, and anyway, this, when you see it in person, really is very much like this. It jumps out at you. You just see more texture. It is very different from anything I've done before. But the more I look at it, the more I like it. I enjoyed doing it.
It's intense. You've got your optical complements here with this orange and this teal I have a slight astigmatism. They vibrate to me. They're just kind of vibrating in my vision because they're so perfect complements.
The thing is, about that morning, I had gotten up at 4:30, and when none of the photographs did it justice, it was so intense.
Never
The
do.
color was so intense. And so the only way to duplicate that, I decided, was not with a photograph, but I had to do it with pastel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Your division of space is nice. This is at the third here. This comes through here. I'm feeling this is like the focus, kind of the star here. The only thing I might critique a little bit is the shape of this is like a brush shape or something. Maybe if a couple of these went out a little more irregularly, but and this is almost a line. But I like this a lot. Anyone else, please?
I like the shoreline, you know, the sky is so dramatic, and it probably was at 4:30, but I'm sort of liking the far shore and the I guess it's trees that are up there, and the reflection from that. I think that's really wonderful.
Yeah,
I've
you've
always-
done it this is very strong. You've got that glint of water in between that obviously shows these are trees below that are not as sharp. Fran, sorry.
Oh, I'm, whenever I even think about doing sunrises and so forth, it's the kind of thing when you're looking at it and when you try to put it on paper, it's sort of unbelievable. And I know you have any comments about that, Terry? Do you do sunrises and sunsets?
It's hard to do, I think. So they
People
don't come
don't
out
believe
looking
it's real, you know.
pretty, you know, it's so kind of pretty. This is so powerful. It
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
what size is this, Rosalind?
it's 11 by 14.
So that's a good size piece.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
So I'm
But
thinking
yeah, it works.
a darker frame to put around it. So anyway, I'm still working on that. Trying to figure out how I'm going to frame it. But I think I am going to frame this one.
Good. Yeah, I think yeah, darker frame. Not a light one. A light one would just, I don't think would do anything.
Right.
Natural light would be. Can you go to
Yeah.
a frame shop and try out some corners without purchasing?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. So I've been holding up other picture frames next to it just to kind of see what it looks like. But anyway,
Rosalind, there's an app that you can upload it into and then frame it or mat it with different color backgrounds. And that'll give you a sense of what the frame color should be.
oh, Vanita, I would love to know what that is.
So if you send this to me, I can give you some options and I'll tell you what the app is.
If you could
All
share
right.
that, that would be great. I know on Faso it has some options, but they're fairly limited. But Finito, I'd love it if you'd share that with the
It's
group.
called Pic Collage.
Piccola, PIC.
Collage. Pic Collage.
So
Collage.
two C's in there then.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll send you, I mean, I can send an email with it, and what it lets you do is basically combine various pictures. You can combine multiple photographs into the same thing, or you can just select one and then put a border on it or whatever you want to do.
Mm.
I'll send that to you.
So it's not really frame. Oh, it's like one of the collage apps where it just, you can have different colors to go around the edges.
Exactly. You can put a border
Mm.
into it. It's not a framing app. There is another app which I can find out what it is, that I don't have it downloaded, that you can actually upload your picture and it'll frame it for you and put it in a room. You can upload your photograph of the room as well to
Oh,
see
my
what
word.
that art will look.
And there's actually one frame company that will do, you can go on and if you're trying to decide it, you choose some frames and it will put your painting in the frame as well. I can't remember which company right now, but I'll look that up too as well. We can put that right on the Patreon page too, if you want, Vinita.
Okay, I'll put it on.
Anyone? Was that it, Rosalind? Are we?
I love the
Yeah.
color.
This purple and this blue really make this orange, saying if those weren't there, it would not be the same.
Yeah.
I think that's the advantage of doing all those little color sketches for so
Mhm.
long.
Yeah, this is a brilliant idea. I like this purple and green one down here. It could turn into a flower painting even, you know, so.
Yep.
And
Ooh. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the
Oh,
drawing.
there we
the
are.
Rooftops, the rooftops. Nice.
so this, go ahead, sorry. You had this last time and then you cropped
Yeah,
it.
this is one I'm working on, yeah. That's one, it came out of order. That's one I cropped it. From what I was working on, the actual one I think is below that.
I like this a lot. I like this. The bluer trees are set back so nicely. You've got a repetition of some of this color into the, you know, here organic color back here. I hope I can speak clearly right now. Again, I'm tired, sorry. And then you've got these geometric shapes down here to balance that off. Is great. And
This is what I did. You can see why I cropped it. I didn't think it was working as well,
yeah,
but that's the actual one done on pastel mat.
very nice.
Didn't
I
find
like
it
the
very
little
easy,
bits
to be
of the
quite
color.
honest.
You what?
I did not find it very easy. I could do this quite a few times before I get it. I was trying to work with fairly limited palette, and I actually
Mhm.
wanted the background to be higher keyed. And of course, the trees were supposed to meet in the middle, and it seemed to have its own thing. It did what it wanted.
It's the if you look at your masters like John Singer Sargent and Andrew Wyeth and stuff, they do study after study after study before they go to a big final painting.
Yeah,
So
and that's what these are too. So
yeah, it's great. Is there more? Do I keep?
that's that one, and then there's a different one.
Oh, different. Okay.
This
Ooh.
was from.
I'm
This
sorry.
was
Let's
from
go back to this. Anyone else on this one? Sorry.
Well-
Did you use pastel matte, orange, colored matte,
sorry.
color
That
paper?
one had a terracotta pastel matte
Mm.
sheet, yeah,
Yeah, nice, comes through.
and a variety of pastels.
The colors are beautiful. So looking at the tree line, is it different in each of those paintings? I wish I had a bigger screen so I could
No,
look at them.
it's the same painting. That one was just cropped on my
Oh,
computer.
yeah.
Okay.
Playing around with
See,
it.
I really like the crop that you did.
Yeah, I think it's better. Yeah,
This one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like this one better too. This
Yes, yeah. I think-
there's not much going here. This is kind
No,
of
it just got,
superfluous.
yeah.
I agree, Rosalind. I think this, I like this. So
I think that sky is
So
handled
pretty.
well. I really like that.
Yeah, the sky is beautiful.
the colors you have, you've got one, this golden, kind of a more, something more in the red pinkish area. Then you've got a green and a purple and a blue. I think that's brilliant. Makes the sky brilliant, but it's just genius the way you use those colors. Wonderful. Did everyone get a chance?
Mhm.
I wish my sky was like that. That's what I was aiming for.
Well, you
How
can
did you, question, how did you do that sky? Did you lay down the blue gray first and then bring the yellow up on top of it, or vice versa?
I'm trying to think. Probably the blue gray came. I think it started out yellow and pink, back and forth, kind of. I don't really follow a method. Not much help. Sorry.
Yeah, you've
Well-
tied your colors together. You've got the warm kind of yellow, it's coming in here as well. This greenish purples down in areas, and then that blue is balancing off this. So that keeps the eye moving around. Each of those elements keeps the eye engaged in the painting as the viewer is looking at it.
I was kind of trying to do that. Plus, I consider from plein air painting, the sky usually reflects on the more horizontal surfaces, which I kind of probably exaggerated a bit.
It's nice strong shapes in there.
What is this thing in the lower left-hand corner? Is that a roof?
That's an apartment building, just the top corner of it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all kind of on a hillside.
It's very Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, but I gotta see where we are here.
Yeah, there's one on the bottom of
Oh,
mine.
the purple one, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
That I was just playing around with color. It's a
that's
local
what
thing.
works. Yeah.
So basically, an analogous color scheme with a bit of a yellow for a complement.
Mm-hmm.
And a loose hand. So that I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
The energy in the strokes and
Mhm.
it's very nice.
It was beautiful. I love how the little touches that you can see, even on my phone, down at the bottom, those little strokes of
Oh,
the
well, basically, yeah, I know
pale
what you.
color.
I basically block it in with the side of a pastel stick, and then I go from there.
This is one of them, you've caught the essence of this image, and that's powerful, and you haven't overworked it.
Yeah, I tend to overwork everything. It's a problem I have.
I tend to too. It's like, oh, I should have stopped, so many
Yeah.
steps ago.
Yeah, don't we all?
Evening on the Greenway. This is Venitas.
Mm-hmm.
I think I posted these last week as well. I don't remember last month.
I think we saw
Yeah.
these. Yeah. Okay. So you were working. So that's what your base, what you started on.
That's one. These are two different. I didn't like it at all, this one. So then I decided to start
Oh,
from
That
scratch.
one,
And here's the other one. And
they're a huge difference. So this was,
Oh,
yeah, this is a totally different painting here. Yes.
Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, completely different.
With the same subject, just about.
Pretty much. I mean, the image was the one that you saw first.
Uh-huh.
Nice division. Your shapes, you get this shape here, this. And this,
Yeah.
even though this is small, it's strong enough to balance out these other geometric shapes in this painting.
So, Vanita, what didn't you like about the first one?
It felt to me like the building was lost and the sky. What I really liked about the image was the little sky on the right and the light on the bench, and you can barely see the bench here. I had
Yeah.
started off thinking the focal point would be the bench and not really anything else, whereas now this big building is looming up front. I don't know, and I didn't like the way I did the lines, and to me it looks like a big mess.
This has so many different colors too. That's pulling the eye into all those colors. And you're right, the bench. I want to go back to the photo really quickly here.
So maybe my scale is off that. Oh, well, now that I'm looking at this score, I guess I had a different photograph I was using where you could see the sky. And that's the one. Is this? Or this has got cropped, the photograph. But maybe this is what I should be doing, where it's all about the bench at the hydrangea in the center.
It's because you do have the hydrangea. So it's like you've moved some of the elements around.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I cut out that one bench and then I shifted the whole painting to the right so you could see. I mean, that sky was beautiful. You don't see it in the photograph. I don't know what happened to that. But that sky was really beautiful, that evening sky, and it doesn't, I mean, in what I've done, I don't like that. I mean, it just looks pasty to me.
In-
And that, yeah. And then the lines of the building are not straight either, right? I don't know. And it seems to me the building is going in in front of those long windows. And I think maybe it's too dark. It's something is off about the building as well.
If you
On top
want that to set
the
back, there
tower.
is quite a bit of contrast here that's pulling that forward. For straight line, do you have new pastels?
Yes.
Often
and
I'll
I
take
used
those and use
the-
that
Yeah,
long edge. Yeah.
I was trying that, but you know, it's a small, I think it was maybe in 7 by 9 or something like that. Just a
Oh, no wonder you were having trouble.
so if you
It's
think
much
too much
harder to
big-
do it small.
All right, next time I'll stay with the whole sheet. And this was that cheap, you know, the cheap sandpaper I was using.
But it's great, like we were talking before about doing multiple images to find the one that's going to work instead of full-size sheets. So
I like that version with the
this type, I'm sorry,
Bush.
just go back. This type of thing,
Okay, yeah.
Benita, you can
Or do
try.
it in watercolor. Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
It would be hard to do that in pastel, but watercolor possibly.
I still
I
think
like
you're
that.
too hard
Yeah.
on yourself about that first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There are things I like about it.
There are
I
things-
understand your problems, but there are things I like about it.
It almost becomes an abstract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the perspective on this side of the building is not really fitting the building, but again, if it becomes almost abstract, it's you got these nice diagonal lines going here, and then the tree branches are also
Exactly.
very strong diagonals, and you've got a little dark shape down here and a dark shape repeated up in here. There is a lot going on here. These are these two dots, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if it's kind of a semi-abstract.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
Very different paintings. Very different.
Yep.
Having fun. And then you have Boston.
Oh,
I
nice,
love that.
nice.
Very nice.
Yes.
This was my only attempt at plein air. These sketches that were with the ink pens.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Nice. You captured it. Yeah.
I like that one.
Looking at this, I'm definitely, yeah, that's Boston.
Yep. You know exactly where it is.
Yes. The
You've got a
gardens.
good perspective on this, how the bridge goes back in the distance. You know, it's shorter here and the wires are longer here and shorter back here. These are great, Vanita.
They
Yes.
are.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
I didn't, you know, I kind of was doing a photo vomiting here. This is from the studio class, the studio live model class I'm at. The session I go once a week for the evenings. And these are from in charcoal.
Mhm.
So I like you have enough cranium for him to have a brain. That's a lot of people don't leave enough head. That's very good. Very solid forms, this very three-dimensional feeling here. Very nice. Understated mouth, great, great. You know, you didn't outline the lips. That's wonderful. I don't know how many portraits you had done before.
Just random stuff like this. I mean, maybe 5. I've some total, I'd say I've been to maybe 10, 15 of these over the last 6 months.
Great. Yeah. Do you have something? Oh,
Same
Nice.
guy.
Nice. Yeah.
very nice. Proportion. His shoulders are a little wide for his head. There's positions between how big the head is and how many shoulders across. The hand, I don't know if you can see me. The hand is as big as the face. So
Okay.
his hands are a little small.
Oh
But
God.
there's just little things like that. Otherwise, this is very strong, very nice.
He's
So
been to
the
the gym.
shoulders should not, it's too wide for the shoulders.
Mhm.
Anita, there's someone that I get on Facebook or Instagram, and it's I think it's a guy whose name his tag is POURIA,
Oh,
Puria.artwork,
okay.
and he uses charcoal a lot, and he does figures, he does heads, he does hands, he does feet. And he really has a beautiful technique. You might want to look at that.
Pouria.
Korea, yes.
Got it. On Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Or just Google him. You know, it'll pop up.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Actually, I just discovered his last name, and I can't pronounce it. Nahaei. I think he's Middle Eastern somewhere, because some of his work has whatever language he speaks.
I
Which is-
found it. Great.
Okay, enjoy that.
Thank you.
He does some beautiful, beautiful work.
Oh, wow. And he's doing oil as well. Beautiful. Thank you. I will, yeah, I'll go through his stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, this is very well proportioned. There's just base general measurements on some aspects that will help you. Like the shoulder, male's shoulder is usually 3 heads wide, female are 2 heads. Yeah, the little things like that.
Okay.
Just again, but this came out really nicely.
This was the week after.
Yeah. And the elbow comes to the waist. If you brought that down, his elbow would be at the waist, his wrist would be at his crotch, his fingers would come down about midway down the thigh. So there's these cross reference measurements that you can use. This came out very nicely.
Yes.
Oh, this is even, the head's a little small, but everything else, very nice.
Yeah, the head was an afterthought when we were almost out of town time.
Quick, gotta get that up there. Nice form here. That torso and that leg part there, very nice. You get sensitive lines going down this arm. Ah, I miss model drawing. Anyone else? I don't mean to rush. I'm just.
No, I love.
Just
Like-
makes me
like-
want to do figure drawing.
I haven't done it in a while.
Oh,
Oh, okay. So
where this is Fran, right? Okay.
yes. So last time I was doing a tall version,
Mhm.
and I think if you there, and so I adjusted it, but I still didn't like it when I adjusted it. I didn't think it made as interesting a composition. So I went back to my original one, which was and then put it
Oh,
into it.
look at
And I had a terrible time. I'm struggling with going back to pastels because I just haven't used it in a long time. So I did, as you did, Will, everything to this. I did a little, I did something else, tried to do a traditional painting, and then that didn't work. So I
Excuse me.
put some other, decided I would do a night scene because I enjoyed that with those other samples. I used alcohol on it. Then when I still wasn't happy with it, I sprayed it. And then I went back in, but this is the UR 400, so it had plenty of tooth to it. Anyway, this is what I ended up with. Again, I would not frame it, but I salvaged something from what was a failure, really. So
Is it heavy with pastels now, do you
Yep.
think? I
oh
mean,
goodness, yes, yeah.
yeah. If you added some fixative, would
Well, I did the fixative once, and that allowed me to go back in and fix it a lot. I could try it again, except the fixative I have, I think, is old, and it got blotchy, and I couldn't spray it properly, so I'd have to buy a new can.
oh.
I had you mean to go in. So what would you suggest? I think the
Well-
moon is too bright. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm bringing up, I've cropped it. Just to clean it up so we can see it a little.
Okay.
Get
Less
that
of the water.
tape out of there. Yeah. I love
Oh,
the tonalist feeling of this, catching that light on that roof, beautiful, and then a hint on the water here. I don't know if it needs much. What do you guys
If I
think?
cropped it, that makes a whole difference.
Mhm.
Yes.
Wow.
I love the feeling of that light.
Yeah.
And
I think
I
the
do.
tape was distracting and I wanted to get rid of that tape.
Oh, yes, okay, yes. Oh, thank you, I like it much better now. Yeah, there was just too much water, and I think, yeah, okay, because the
And you
focus.
might
was supposed to
consider
be
this part of the water right here, Fran,
Yes,
it's
yes.
it's in shadow from the moon and it's also reflecting dark. So you might,
Sorry.
do you know what I mean? The reflection or something here maybe could be darker.
Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry.
All right. I'm gonna put you on mute. Okay. What are your thoughts? Do you think that would?
It would, yeah, it would. And this is just the architect in me. I love the outline of that form where it's just slightly illuminated by the moon, but also that I would carry, not as bright, but I would carry the ridge on that roof, just a little bit of sparkle on the ridge right across the
On
top.
this side? Oh,
No.
right here on the ridge. Okay.
Because that also will be illuminated by the moon.
Yeah. And it
So-
doesn't have to go all the way across. It could just
No.
start and kind of fade down into that.
Same
Yeah.
with the left side of the building would hit a bit of light too.
A little hint here, you mean?
Yeah, just a hint, like it's
Yeah.
a lovely tonalist painting though. I like the feeling.
It is.
It
And I
just-
love how here that the dark just blends into the dark and you can't tell
Yeah.
where the building and the tree. Yeah. Beautiful. Fran, you're on mute. I put you on mute because of the phone call.
Didn't realize my phone was in the room, I'm sorry. Okay, that makes me feel much better, so I could salvage it that way. It was
Yeah.
a great learning lesson, but a struggle.
Sometimes just a couple little touches. I had a
Mhm.
friend tell me a painting I was working on. I said, something's not right. And she said, this is too bright. I brought that down tonally and it makes the painting work so much better. Sometimes that's why having group discussions often with friends
Mhm.
can just go, oh, if I just did this and this, bam.
Terry Lynn, take it back to the original.
You mean not that one, this one?
Yeah, okay.
But you see, you've got a little bit of this shadow and reflection here, but I think it needs to be
Yes, okay,
something more in this tonal shape,
Yeah.
but an interesting shape at the same time.
Yep.
but do you all agree on the cropping? I really think that made
Yeah.
a stronger
Yeah.
image.
Well, the
Yeah,
only
take
thing I did is I cropped it right to the tape.
The other thing is the base of the reeds. I would do what I call stepping it, where you do variety. You go across horizontally, up a little bit, horizontally, up and down. You know what I mean?
I
Because
agree
of
with
I
that.
thought
I'm not
Yeah.
explaining it very well, but it's how reeds kind of grow. So you don't have
Oh,
that
say that.
solid curve.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, and water always finds its own level, so it doesn't kind of curve up. It steps up like this because you want
yeah, I
that.
thought I probably lost it, but I did have that, but
Yeah.
yep, okay, yeah, so
Oh.
fix, you said you only cropped it to the tape?
I just cropped it right to the edge of the tape. See
No,
this?
you did more than that.
Well,
Yeah, you took off about an inch or the whole bottom
I
of
did
that.
at the bottom. Maybe I
Yeah,
did. I
yeah,
did
yeah.
it really, really fast. So
Yeah, I think that works.
I apologize.
You?
Yeah, I think it works.
So you were going to get rid of this, and I think it's a couple little things, and you've got a great painting. I mean, it is a great painting. You know what I mean? It's just
Well,
Yeah.
okay, fix the water line and things that you suggested, yes.
yeah,
I'll
the
do
little
that.
ridge that
Little
Will
out there.
suggested up
Mhm.
here. Maybe catch a couple tips of the grass here.
Mhm.
Let this sparkle stay. Don't lose
Mhm.
that. But then
Mhm.
otherwise let this fade. Beautiful. And this,
Yeah, this
Or-
is something I did at Cove, it's an oil sketch. And I had it against the wall and my daughter saw it and she said, you got to put that in. So it's in an exhibit where I live now. And I've gotten so much feedback from people about it. So I didn't think I captured anything, but something worked. So,
Is it watercolor?
oh,
Oil.
It's oil?
oil
Okay.
canvas, yeah. But
Hmm.
just, just a tonal kind of thing.
Have you done many faces or?
In the past, used
Yeah.
to do, not a lot, but yeah. I did it for a lot of years, a lot of life drawing and stuff.
You've caught a beautiful expression. Do you know this girl?
No, it was just a live model, but on a video, because this was during COVID. We were all
Mm.
shut down. So I did a lot online. And this was just one thing that came out.
Came out well.
Very
Thank you.
nice. Very nice. Is the feeling of it, the sensitivity is wonderful. Is that, are we?
Yes. Yeah.
It was wonderful. Thank you all so much. I appreciate seeing what you, like a lot of you started with what you were working on last month and then continued to develop them and bring them to a fruition. And I honestly haven't thought about next month. I can think about it, but I thought maybe you folks would have some ideas too. What would you like to? You want to try one more step, or where would you like to go next?
I think we could just continue with what
Yeah.
we're doing, the plein air and the
Yeah.
studies.
Because I'm catching up with all of you still, so I could use some more of that.
It's still nice weather, and I'm
Mhm.
going to be getting out
Yep.
plenty. Vanita, sound good to you? Rosalind, yes?
Sounds good.
Yes, it sounds very good.
Well,
Works for me.
Yeah,
all right. So I can share some things that I'm working on, maybe nothing very distinctive for a challenge, just continue and try to develop things.
yeah.
Sounds good.
And I like when you share other things that, like the figures and the faces that you've been working on, some of you that aren't, that are other things you're working on. That's great. I'm working a lot, as I said, emotive pieces, just working through my mother's passing and stuff. And the one I put, did you see the one of the chair I put up of the
Yeah.
cats?
Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
did, and I sent it to an artist friend of mine, and she said, I've been thinking of chairs, and I'm thinking of doing a series of chairs. And it was so interesting. We had this whole conversation about chairs and, people who sit in them and people who don't, and, positioning and dining chairs and positions at the dining table. It was very cool.
They can tell whole stories in themselves, can't they?
Mhm.
I just felt, Terry Lynn, like if I took my hand and put it on that chair, I would feel your mother's warmth still
Ooh,
sitting
ooh,
in the chair. It
ooh,
just was so moving. So
ooh.
thank you for sharing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
I mean, it's not a very necessarily uplifting piece, but we all go through things. And I think that sharing of emotions and any process we have in life, we share through our art. And I think it's more effective if we're not just creating pretty pictures, but actually telling stories in the art.
Yeah.
I
Like
love the one you did.
that last one with your barn, to me, that just tells such a story. It's beautiful. And then Will's story is starting for the river going to the cathedral trees. It's just,
I'll still do that river piece, but that would be my challenge, is to actually stay with the water. But
Why?
I struggle with it. I struggle with rocks, and it's just, that's what I do.
I love how many of us, as the painting started taking on its own personality, that we go with that you all are listening to that creative process itself. And it's not just us forcing our desire on a piece of paper.
No.
It's partnership and a conversation going back and forth.
Yeah, if you try to do that, then you will fail. So,
That's a real growth for me, because I never did that in the past. If I had decided to do something, then I kept doing it no matter what, even though it was failing. So, and if I hadn't done those little samples of the trees with the different, that way back in the spring when you gave us that tutorial, I would never have thought of that, of taking it to a totally different.
That's why we're here.
Yeah,
We're
me too.
here.
So,
And I hope you stay cool.
Yeah.
Gosh. I hear tomorrow it's supposed to be back up in maybe the triple digits.
Where's that?
She's in British Columbia on the West Coast.
It's that warm there?
Well, I think it's Celsius, so I'm not sure what. We're going up into the 30s and 40, actually 40s in the interior.
Yeah,
40 is
I
hot.
heard on the news that Oregon and Washington are going to be in the possibly the triple digits, so 100 over 100 degrees
Wow.
Fahrenheit. Yeah.
Yeah, 40s is hot.
The 40s is very hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to have to go. So
Yep, I'm heading up.
everybody have a
too.
good month.
thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. See you
Thank
next month.
Good
Okay.
night. Thank you.
We have a date for next month?
It's the third Tuesday, correct?
19th, September
Yeah.
19th.
Yes, the 19th.
Hey,
Thank you. Bye.
thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Terry.
Bye.
Bye-bye.